She wants 1 minute.
Good evening, everybody. We'll call the District Board of Directors Monday, October 18th, 2021 meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please, Angie?
Betty Brewski Malik.
Yes.
Kristen Krass.
Here.
Craig Gerbach.
Here.
Scott Kroholski.
Here.
Richard Murden.
Here.
Linnea Miller.
Here.
Gordon Shallow. Charles Spargo.
Here.
Ari Vang.
Here. Open meeting certification. This October 18th, 2021 meeting of the Mid-State Technical College District Board of Directors and all other meetings of the board and or its committees is open to the public in compliance with the state statutes. Notice of this meeting has been sent to the news media and designated persons in an attempt to make the citizens of the Mid-State Technical College District aware of the place, time, and agenda of the meeting. Open forum. The open forum is at the option of the Board of Chairperson, and ground rules have been established to ensure the orderly conduct of business. This is a meeting of the District Board open to the public and not a public hearing. Persons who wish to address the District Board may make a statement as long as it pertains to a specific agenda item. Individuals should not expect to engage in discussion with the members of the District Board. Do we have anybody here to address the board? Okay, we need an approval on the September 20th board meeting as shown in Exhibit A. Can I get a motion in a second?
I make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Is there any discussion? So moved. Can I go ahead and get a motion approval and a motion to approve the board advance meeting minutes from September 28th, 2021 as shown in Exhibit B?
So move.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, so moved.
Do we want to vote on that? Does that require a? Yeah.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
No, please vote.
Vote.
Oh, all in favor, please?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, can I get approval of the consent agenda items, including payment of bills and payroll as shown in Exhibit C, contracted service agreements as shown in Exhibit H, procurement of goods and services shown in Exhibit I, and the ethics resolution shown in Exhibit N. Can I get a motion
So
in
moved.
a second?
Second.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Betty Brewski Malik.
Yes.
Kristen Krass.
Yes.
Craig Gerbach.
Yes.
Scott Kroholski.
Yes.
Richard Murden.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Ari Vang.
Yes. Hey, Chairperson's report. Welcome everybody to the meeting tonight. Gordy asked to be excused tonight. So first of all, we're going to talk about the full board association meeting. That is going to be held virtually at the end of the month, October 28th and 29th. I've been asked to talk to everybody about it, especially the new board members to hopefully attend. It is, I forgot my notes, I got to look at my phone. The seminar is packed with multiple short 1-hour sessions designed to provide current advice on several legal issues facing boards and technical colleges. It's free for all of us. There's supposed to be fascinating keynote sessions and multiple networking opportunities for us as board members. They're highlighting legal responsibilities of board ethics for board members, public meeting and open records, and the role of board trustees. I know I went to it last year, a couple years ago. It's very interesting. You can take one path, two paths, whatever you can do virtually. Very interesting. If you are interested, let Angie know. She can go ahead and register you for some of it, all of it, or whatever you can attend. The board advance, we had that on September 28th. Thank you for everybody that was able to attend. Would anybody like to comment on the advance?
I think it was very helpful, a good discussion, and I think Karen's output from that is greatly appreciated. Yep.
Okay. Our next meeting date will be Monday, November 15th. We'll be meeting here at the Wisconsin Rapids campus. Committee of the Whole will begin at 5 o'clock with regular meetings to follow. With that, we'll go ahead to the President's report with Dr. Shelley Monday.
Thank you, Kristen. Just a couple of things under campus and community involvement. I've had a number of community meetings to continue to advocate for the advanced manufacturing, engineering, technology, and apprenticeship center, and I can tell you we're almost at 5.5. So we continue to see the support, which is just it just again speaks to the volume and really the outcomes that the center can do. October is Manufacturing Month, and we did have Channel 9 reach out to us to do a piece on Mid-State, and I didn't know if you had seen it, so I'd like to play it. Ryan Koski, who is our dean over this area, I think did just a really great job, and so we're going to go ahead and play that clip, and maybe while Angie is doing that, I'd like to do a personal ask to all of you. I am going to be speaking to the college probably the first week of November, and I had talked with the executive leadership team about that I think this is such a big project for our college that I really wanted to be able to have the executive team be able to give a contribution towards this project so I could come out to the college to say that 100% of the executive leadership team has contributed to this project. And I would just like to put this out that I would really love for you to consider as our board of directors to give a small or large donation to this project. I would really ask you to consider to think about that. If that is anything that you would like to do, you can connect with Angie, and we will connect you with the foundation. But I really think that since we're going out to the community to ask for a donation of even $100 goes a long way. So again, if I can say 100% of the executive leadership team, along with 100% of our board of directors, I think that would speak a lot about this project. So I would just ask for your consideration with
Can
that.
that be done online?
Yes, it can.
Designated or
It can.
something? Okay.
We just would want to make sure that you, as a
Capture it.
group, I would like to be able to capture that amount. I can tell you that I've been very pleased with our executive team. It looks like right now we will be over $13,000 that the executive leadership team has come forward. So, I think every $100 or $500, we've had a few people that have given a little more than that. But it just speaks volume. I think when you're doing such a large project and need that community endorsement, when you can say the executive team and the board of directors. So I would ask you to consider that, please. So, okay, so our wonderful clip, Angie, anytime you're ready.
Difference between the average salary of a construction apprentice and the average salary of someone with a 4-year degree.
To educators at Mid-State Technical College, the benefits of an apprenticeship program are nothing new.
Apprenticeship was one of Wisconsin's best kept secrets, but it shouldn't be.
Enrollment is up this year in Mid-State's apprenticeship programs. The Earn While You Learn model is what's attracting most students.
The apprenticeship programming requires 90% of the time to be on the job skilled. So it's on the job learning.
New data from the Midwest Economic Policy Institute shows that training is paying off. In 2018, workers with a bachelor's degree earned about $69,000 that year. But workers from apprenticeship programs weren't far off, earning about $67,000 that year.
Construction is not low-skilled work.
Policy Director Frank Manzo says there's often a stigma surrounding the construction industry, but he says one reason for the pay increases is that there's more demand than ever for skilled tradespeople in Wisconsin.
Unfortunately, our roads are crumbling, our bridges are in need of repair, and so there's a high demand for workers to fix the infrastructure that we already have.
Manzo says these numbers suggest that in the long term, apprenticeship programs could help bolster the middle class in more ways than one.
These apprenticeship programs in construction offer Wisconsin's workers pathways into middle-class trades that are in high demand, again, without any of the student loan debt, and will continue to do so.
Researchers say apprenticeship programs could be the answer to the shortage in skilled workers. Back to you guys.
It's always nice to be able to have the media profile something that we're doing, but I thought that was really a good video clip. So did most of you see it? Mm-mm. Yes, okay, great. So, okay. Also, as far as community, I was involved in a meeting in the Adams area where our Adams Fire Department and myself sat down with Lori Inda, our dean, and Allied Co-op to talk about the possibility of a land donation that would go to the fire department to allow us to put up a splash tower or a piece of training prop in the Adams area. When we had done our needs assessment, that was something that had came forward, that it would be really nice to have. So not sure if they're going to be able to do that, but we've also met with the mayor to let them know we just need a small parcel of land to be able to do that. So as you know, we've done so much with the Marshfield area, we've done so much with the Stevens Point area, so trying to work with those local fire departments in that Adams-Rome area to do something locally there as well. So very optimistic where that may go. Also have had a couple of conversations with 2 UW chancellors. You know that transfer is definitely on our mind. I had some conversations with Chancellor Gibson from UW Stevens Point. I was able to receive a letter from him to say that he would commit to explore the transfer possibility for our liberal studies of arts and science. So I'm optimistic that we were able to get that in writing, which will be going with us to our state board. But also wanted to let you know that Lakeland University will be our first partner. They have committed to this. This is big for us. When we go to our WTCS state board, we have to have a university partner. I was hopeful that it would be UWSP. We aren't able to make that happen as of right now, but have really told Chancellor Gibson I want them to be the first UW partner that Midstate has, and I'm optimistic that maybe we can make that happen. Also had a great conversation with the new chancellor over at UW Stout. Her name is Chancellor Catherine Frank. And so optimistic talking with her, as you know, with our manufacturing and so many things that we have going. Would love to have more of a pathway directly to UW Stout as a junior status. And I need to tell you, after the conversations that I had with her, I'm very optimistic that we're going to be able to do something for central Wisconsin. So that will be a win-win. So we'll continue to work through that. Also, from a community standpoint, I participated in the Aspirus system. They had a board of directors strategic retreat to talk about where they're headed as an organization, and was asked to be part of that. So I felt that was very beneficial, especially with our simulation center. I also was asked to be part of the Heart of Wisconsin, the teen mentorship program that they put on around leadership. Was able to be with them last week, and that's really a year-long program. So I will be mentoring a couple of high school students, and I'm looking forward to that as well. For WTCS updates, presidential activities, the only thing that really had occurred since our last meeting was, you know, that I am the presidential liaison to the vice president of academics, or the VPs of the instruction across the state. So we did have a meeting, again, very much talked about transfer, very much talked about some CNA and some credits changing in the program. But right now, again, you continue to hear me say this, transfer is on our mind. And it's something that we all want to get done. At the Board of Regents meeting just a week ago, Gateway did get theirs approved by the Board of Regents to work with UW Parkside. I can tell you at the November State Board meeting, you will see ours along with a couple of other colleges. So transfer is on the mind this year to get it done. So exciting, exciting. And you will all be on the board when we make this happen. This is a really big deal for the technical college system and for our students. I can't tell you how big it is. So that would end my report, Kristen.
We'll go ahead and move on to our committee reports with Chuck Spargo, Finance and Infrastructure.
All right, we've already addressed the consent agenda items, so I'll move on to the treasurer's report in Exhibit J. Page 24 shows the budget notifications made in the month of September. Both Fund 1, Fund 2, Fund 3, and Fund 7 are all receiving some notification of adjustment, for a total revenue increase of $1.44 million, a total expense increase of $1.406 million. So an impact to the fund balance of a positive $34,000. Moving on to page 25 shows the current budget with those modifications made, those adjustments. So we've got $1.44 million more in revenue across all the funds, and increased expenditures of $1.4 million, and resulting change in the fund equity of $34,255 across all the funds. Moving on to the next page, page 26 shows current actuals for the month of September and year to date. The revenue increased by almost 5.2 million in the month of September. Expenditures increased further by 6.9 million, so our expenditures for the month of September exceeded revenue by 1.8 million. Year-to-date revenue, we've received almost 13 million, 12.5 million, and we've made expenditures or committed to expenditures of 15.2 million. So our expenditures are outstripping the revenue so far, but both of them are lumpy. Revenue tends to be lumpier than the expenditures. But if you look at Fund 1, that's what we have most control over. It's showing 24.7% of our budget has been expended, and we've been through 1/4 of the year. Overall, for all funds, we're just over the 25% expenditure level. Revenue is just under just under the 25% at 23%. But overall, it's we're on track. I might point out that we often talk about current expenditures as being the most controllable element in Fund 1. We're tracking a little bit above the 25% level, but it's only at 28%, so it's very close. Any questions on the current actuals or the budget so far? And the last page is just the balance sheet and shows a total of $21.9 million in cash and investments. Greg pointed out in our committee meeting that receivables are up this year compared to last year, and that's just a matter of the timing of when financial aid gets released. So that should straighten out in the next month or so. That completes the treasurer's report. If there are no questions on that, we'll move over to the next agenda item, and that's the certification of the 21-22 tax levy, Exhibit K, and Greg will lead us on the on that topic.
Thank you, Chuck. There should be a 4-page document within your materials I'd like to draw your attention to. The first.
What color is that one?
There is a white.
The Baird one?
Nope. It is a white 4-page landscape.
I think it's a light blue.
Light blue?
Or
Oh,
gray.
that one?
Okay.
Okay.
Excuse me. We have some good news for our communities and property owners within our district. This year, you will notice on the bottom of that page that we have a property tax decrease or mill rate decrease for the year. Our overall mill rate for the year will be 0.89403 based on the information we have and your approval this evening. Last year it was 94.49, so it's a 5 cent or $5 per $100,000 home decrease. If you look at the information on the top of the page, it says total equalized value. In the gray section, or maybe a little bit different color shaded on your paper, we had a property tax value increase across our 97 municipalities of 5.4%. Going down to the next section below, you can see what makes up our property tax levy. We have our total tax revenue that we're allowed by the state of Wisconsin of $18,078,000. We have net new construction this year of $342,000, which is up from budget about $150,000. We have property tax relief aid of $11,415,000. And if you look way off to the right, you'll see that it actually increased. That negative sign means it increased from last year. That the governor's budget had additional property tax relief aid in it for the technical colleges, and it equated to $761,000 to Mid-State. We also have some property tax, personal property tax aid, and then some rescinded taxes that were brought back onto our taxable base. So our total levy is $13,922,903, or that 0.89403 mill rate. A decrease of $37,722 from last year.
How far south does our district go?
How far south
How
do we
far
go?
south into Adams, yeah?
Yes,
Well,
I
it's
don't
not
know
all
the
the way,
answer
is
to
it?
that. How far south, Greg, do we go
How
from
far south in
Adams?
Adams?
All the way down, the full county of Adams, yes.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
Yes. Adams, Wood, and Portage are full counties. The rest are partial municipalities within those counties. The additional pages that are attached to that have information on changes in equalized value by different class of properties. It also has the tax incremental financing districts, but the last page of it is a summary of valuations and tax levy comparisons by county. So there you can see where our percentage is at 5.4% for our property value increase, and the total dollar decrease of our levy being $37,721, or a 0.3% decrease. So taking this information into consideration, and with your approval of the resolution, the college's mill rate will be 0.89403 per $1,000, or $89.40 per $100,000 home, a decrease of $5 per $100,000 home from last year. Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution shown in Exhibit K.
I'll second.
Betty Brusky Malik,
Yes.
Kristen Kraft,
Yes.
Craig Gerlach,
Yes.
Scott Grolowski, Richard Murden,
Yes.
Linnea Miller,
Yes.
Charles Spargo,
Yes.
Ari Vang,
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the resolution awarding the sale of up to $1 million general obligation promissory notes. And John Meehan will be here to assist Greg in that.
So John has been partnering with us for several years. I joked with him beforehand that he's probably been partnering with the college older than I am, but since we're about the same age, I don't think I could say that. So, so John is, again, the 15 years I've been with the college, John has been helping us, partnering with us for the financing of our long-term debt.
Well, he's so kind about that age story. Anyway, good evening. My name is John Meehan. I'm with Robert W. Baird. What I'd like to do tonight is just walk through a presentation concerning the $1 million note issue, which the board at a previous meeting had authorized us to proceed to market with. What I'll share with you right now is what we discussed earlier this evening at the Finance Committee. Just to walk through the sheet, and I invite any questions along the way. This $1 million note issue is part of an overriding $5 million plan. $4 million had previously been issued. This is the last piece. We were required by state statutes for the purposes, we have to really separate it into two different sales. So this is the second half of the sale. But because it was the second half of the sale, we had the structure set up that it would really be the front end of the maturity, with the $4 million being the final 7 years of the debt, or 4 through 10, and the front part, these issues, being the maturities March 1 of 22, 23, and 24. You pay your principal now on March 1, and you pay interest March and September every year. The settlement on this is not November 8th. That's when the district receives the money. That's when the interest clock starts. As Greg just walked through the levy includes debt service funds. The debt service funds take into account this debt service. So the first payment, March of 22, is included in the levy which was approved. Because it's only 3 years and it's so early in the amortization, these are non-callable. The good news, again, is that the rating has been confirmed at a AA1, and the true interest cost is a 1.30. So rates still continue to be at a low environment. On page 3, we have the repayment schedule itself. We always show on the left side of the page the existing debt payments that are already obligations of the district. In the middle, the big box that says final, that's the issue that you're considering this evening. The average interest rate on this, because of the couponing, is actually a 3.55, and that's how we generate the cost, we roll the cost of issuance. Coming across to the right, we have the existing and the new debt service, but we also take a look at what you may do in the future, though this does not in any way obligate the district to do these things. So we don't do these issues in a vacuum. We look at what other issues may be coming. We take into account the possibility of a $6.5 million issue taking place during the 22-23 fiscal year, a $5.5 million issue taking place every year thereafter. It doesn't mean you'll do those, but we always want to take a look at structuring debt with that in mind, so that when you come across to the far right side, you'll see that your debt service levy, which takes into consideration what you adopted this evening and going forward, is really going to be on a level path. We're going to be just under $7 million for debt service levy payments off in the future. So we take that all into consideration. At the back of the handout, I have a copy of the Moody's credit report itself. And what I would say to you is that the district, credit to the administration, credit to the board and the board members in previous years, has done such a great job. You continue to be at a AA1 credit. That's a really, really high credit. The highest you can receive is a AAA, and that's rarefied answers. There's only so many. So being at a AA1 is an excellent credit rating. What I just covered as far as the sale itself, the interest rates, the levy, the call provisions, have all been included in the resolution, which was been prepared by your bond counsel, Quarles and Brady, and has been distributed this evening. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Any questions? Okay, very good. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
With that, I think we're ready to move on to the resolution shown in Exhibit L, and I'd like to make a motion that we approve it as shown in Exhibit L.
Second.
Can we get a roll call vote, please, Angie?
Betty Brusky-Malik.
Yes.
Kristen Kress.
Yes.
Craig Gerlach.
Yes.
Scott Groholski.
Yes.
Richard Murden.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Ari Vang.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the
John.
2020-2021 budget amendments. That's in Exhibit M. Every month, we've been talking about the first page in the finance agenda talks about the budget notifications. We used to call them budget amendments, but the budget amendments only happen twice a year, and usually April and October. So this is the second and final budget amendment for the fiscal year that we've completed in June, and Greg will explain the changes that we're about to consider in Exhibit M.
All right. On page 36 of the package you were sent, and I believe there might be one on your area for a handout as well. These budget amendments are for activity between April and June for the fiscal year 2020. Based on today's information, this will be the last of our budget amendments that Chuck had already mentioned. It's broken into different areas: general fund, special revenue fund, capital fund, and special revenue non-aidable. I'm going to go group those together and kind of give you highlights of where those budget amendments occurred and why. So in the general fund, Fund 1, we had 4 grants that were adjusted, reduced an expense budget by $13,573. We had established and closed out the IT incident from a little over a year ago, a year and a couple weeks ago, bringing that into the financial statements and with the settlement of our insurance policy, where we did receive all but the deductible on our IT incident of $25,000 deductible. But this is to record those items. We had payroll adjustments at year end of $149,544. And then our Willem operating budget increase of $65,000. We don't show the revenues on the budgets for amendments. We only show the expense increases, but we had offsetting revenues of $65,134 from our other 2 partners in the consortium. In the special revenue fund, that's where we place all of our CARES, our COVID monies that we received, the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund from the federal government. Between April and June, there was $654,633 $663 spent in the CARES institutional money. And then we also had dual credit increase from our budgeted number by $213,119. In our capital fund, we had a budget amendments of $870,984. Those were all of those are for projects that were for FY '22, but we started early so they could be completed by the start of the school year. Those included the culinary program, the Marshfield parking lot, and some classroom remodelings. The special revenue non-aidable, which is Fund 7, also known as Trust and Agency, was $261,500 of additional expense, and that was related to student emergency relief aid. Again, that is CARES funding that were allocated specifically for student emergency grants, not to pay tuition, but for their day-to-day living needs. Any questions on any of our amendments that will close out the FY 2021 year?
So Chuck, does this all make sense to you, increasing all these budgets?
Yep.
Amounts?
Yep.
Okay. Because these are some pretty large numbers, that's
Well,
just.
yeah, but we've been going through month by month, showing
Okay.
the smaller adjustments and talking about
Sure.
each one. So this is just a formal approval of all those that
Of
we've
all
been
those
doing.
other ones,
Other
okay.
ones, because those weren't formal adjustments. This is what does the formal change to the budget, but those notifications that we've been doing monthly accumulate to this.
Got it, okay, I was thinking,
Yep.
I didn't get that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So with that, I make a motion that we approve the budget amendment as shown in Exhibit M.
Second.
Can I get a roll call vote, please, Angie?
Betty Brusky Malik.
Yes.
Kristen Kress.
Yes.
Craig Gerlach.
Yes.
Scott Groholski.
Yes.
Richard Murden.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Ari Vang.
Yes.
Okay, and the last item we have any action on is the item number F there, the 2021 Annual Procurement Report. And Greg will explain that.
So that should be a green piece of paper on your desk or on your your area. So this list provides all vendors that had invoices that accumulated in excess of $50,000. So it may have been a $5,000 invoice 10 or 11 times, accumulated over $50,000 spent or paid in our fiscal year 2021. They're in a descending order from highest to lowest, with Ascend Learning Holdings being the item on the top line for $225,000 with 16 invoices. This was related, and you may remember this discussion back when we had our stay-at-home order in that May-June timeframe. It was for the nursing simulation software so that our students could stay at home and still continue their education. It shows up on this report even though we talked about it in that April, May, June timeframe because the bill was not paid until after July 1st. And the state requires us to have listings of payments, not when we expensed them.
And why is it classified as emergency?
At that point in time, we needed to get the learning materials out to the students as fast as possible during the stay-at-home order from the governor, and so we are allowed to take several of our items and put them as emergency procurement so that we could have that uninterrupted educational experience for them.
Thank you.
So you'll also see the notes. Since it was emergency procurement, it was note number 1. We will not be seeing a need for this in the future, and so we will not be looking at any further investigation on this one. Blackboard, which is is our learning management software. You hear about this every 3 or 4 years, but because we made some payments to them that were under that $50,000 mark, and total $206,000, there was 5 invoices. They are on state contracts, so they do have the lowest. They do have a state contract that makes sure that we follow the procurement policies of the state. But we wanted to show for transparency purposes, if you look at the monthly reports and add all those together, you'd see them on there. And so I just wanted to be, from transparency standpoint, showing all of the purchases or all the payments that we made that were in excess of that $50,000 per vendor. ABR employment, as well as under $177,000. It's on a state contract as well. There's 136 invoices. That was all COVID funding. It was to continue our COVID cleaning and COVID enhanced social distancing and making sure that everything was up to the needs of continuing education when students were in person and staff being in person. Digicopy, we did an RFP a few years back, but again, if you look at those reports, you'll see them on there 55 times this year. The total was $80,165. We did an RFP, so we've already done the competitive selection process on them. Tweet Garrett, we had $67,000, almost $900. We receive a quote from them each year for their services, $28,000, because every time we bring them in, it's for something that went down that needs to be repaired. So we do have a pricing list from them for different services. We used them 28 times for $67,000, $68,000. Grounds Detail Service, that is the name of the organization, and if you walked outside and you looked around, they're the ones that provide our ground services at the college. A few years back, we made the decision as we looked at the needs of the college and having a staff member that was leaving us, that was doing those things. Would it be better for us to hire or use a service? And we determined that the service was actually more beneficial for the college. And so that one, we did have a quote for them, but because it went over that $50,000 mark, we will be this winter looking at an RFP for the grounds detail service or for our grounds to make sure that we are at a competitive environment for those services. And the last one is FA Solutions for $50,100. Just got over that limit. We had 5 invoices, and that was with our financial aid director leaving the college. We needed to have some emergency help with our financial aid office, and so we hired a financial solution, our FA Solutions, to help us with that. We do not see that going forward as well. We are fully staffed in our financial aid department, and so this was an emergency to fill that gap during that time frame, and would not be a service needed in the future, so we'd not be investigating a competitive environment for them. Yes, Rick?
Yeah, a question for Matt still here? No. So coming in tonight was the first time in a long time where I saw all the geese out there.
Mm-hmm.
Are they a problem again, or
All the what?
Depends on who you ask. It depends on who, but it's been something that we monitor, but I would say that it hasn't got to where it's a huge problem, no.
This is the first time I saw that big of a flock out there.
This time of year, we'll see more, but it's usually a shorter time span, but it hasn't been too much of a nuisance. There definitely are droppings that you will see on the road and on the sidewalks, but we have great staff that take care of that, but we have not. I've heard, though, in the past that there were some extra things that we had done to try to, I don't know if any of that worked well, but at this point, it hasn't been a huge nuisance that I've been told, at least, Greg. Unless your staff are doing some miraculous things that I don't know about it.
Yeah, we tried the, what were they, wolf or not statues, but decoys. Yeah, decoys, thank you. They kind of worked, but then they somehow left the campus. They wandered off grounds.
Just to clarify, Greg explained during our Financial and Infrastructure Committee meeting that the state requires the staff to bring this to us for approval because any project over $50,000 requires board approval. And so to avoid the potential or the view of game playing with having 5 invoices for $15,000 not requiring board approval, but in cumulative total being more than $50,000, he has to bring this to us for our approval, recognition that, yes, we see this. And as he said, the one that will require or is suggested that we go out for bid RFP next year is the ground detail services. The rest is just for transparency.
Correct.
So on that basis, I'd like to make a motion to approve the annual procurement report for goods and services for fiscal year 21.
Sorry, second that.
How many months did we have FA Solutions for?
So I'm looking back at Mandy, I'm sorry. I'm
So
thinking
it
that
was-
we had them, Mandy, April timeframe. And they had just ended last month. End of September was our last time that we needed their services after we got our financial aid director up to speed.
Crucial, especially with all of the COVID money. We need to make sure that we were doing those things right.
Do you need a roll call or is it a voice vote? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed?
Any opposed?
Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. That concludes the Financial and Infrastructure Committee report.
Okay, we'll move on to the Academic and Student Services Committee with Betty Bruschi-Malik.
Thank you. We did have a couple items tonight, and we'll need a couple motions approved. Our first item is on academic programming, and Dr. Deb Stenzel reported. Last month, the board approved step 1 of the program approval process by approving a concept review of the Liberal Arts Associate of Arts and Associate of Science programs. Step 2 of the program approval process also requires board approval. As Deb shared last month, we are currently offering the liberal arts programs through a shared agreement with Nicolet College. Because of this, we have a head start on the program development. Classes will be developed and offered by full-time and part-time faculty. For courses we currently do not offer, like history, music, and art, we will hire a part-time faculty and offer them through a potential MOU with a 4-year partner. We anticipate our students currently in our program shared with Nicolet College will transition to our program. Students will receive financial aid for these programs as they are associate degree programs. Operational dollars will support faculty and curriculum development to ensure a successful program implementation. Midstate will identify a 4-year partner and submit a memorandum of understanding that articulates junior status transfer for this program approval process. Currently, we are working with UW-Stevens Point and Lakeland University. While the program approval process requires one agreement to be solidified prior to offering the program, Midstate intends to develop agreements with other 4-year partners to allow as many pathways and transfer opportunities for our liberal arts and arts of science graduates as possible. We anticipate this program to go through the WTCS Board and Board of Regents in early 2022. Anticipated start date of these programs is fall of 2022 and or spring of 2023. With that said, I'd like to make a motion that the board submit the program approval paperwork to the WTCS for Liberal Arts Associate of Arts Association degree program.
I'll second that.
We need a roll call or motion?
Yes, please. Betty Bruschi-Malik.
Yes.
Kristen Kress.
Yes?
Craig Gerlach.
Yes.
Scott Proholski.
Yes.
Richard Murden.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Ari Vang.
Yes.
And then another motion to submit the program approval paperwork to the WTCS for the Liberal Arts Associate of Science Associate Degree Program.
I'll second that.
I'll make the motion.
I'm sorry. I'll second the motion. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Betty Bruschi-Malik. Kristen Kress.
Yes.
Craig Gerlach.
Yes.
Scott Proholski.
Yes.
Richard Murden.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Ari Vang.
Yes.
We had an informational item from Dr. Deb regarding the nursing assistant review. The nursing assistant program is a 3-credit technical diploma program offered on all 4 of our campuses. Successful completion of the program enables students to take the state certification exam and be placed on the Wisconsin Nurse Aid Registry. Mid-State Technical College is a testing site in Wisconsin Rapids so that our students have an easier access to testing. The nursing assistant program is regulated by the state with the Wisconsin Department of Health Services and governed by federal regulations. As part of the regulatory process, our program has a state certification site visit in August of 2021. The state nursing consultant evaluated our nursing assistant classroom and labs on the Wisconsin Rapids, the Stevens Point, and the Marshfield campuses. As a result of this site visit, Mid-State received notice that our program had no deficits or recommendations and meets all state and federal requirements for nursing aid training. Our next survey will be conducted again in fall of 2023. And that was from Dr. Deb Stencil. Next would be informational items from Dr. Mandy Lang. And the first one is about graduation. The college will celebrate students' achievements at a December graduation in an outdoor drive-through style ceremony on Saturday, December 11th at 1:30. This is a new date. With the outdoor ceremony, there was a need to have a plan B for the weather, and graduating students chose to go with a Saturday, December 11th as the main date, and Sunday, December 12th as the inclement weather date. Our very own board member, Linnea Miller, will be speaking at the 2021 Distinguished Award winner. The board is invited to attend. If you're interested in attending, please let Angie know by the end of the week so caps and gowns can be ordered. So mark your calendars for Saturday, December 11th. We all want to hear Linnea speak. The second item was informational regarding the Afghan families. Employees recently participated in a donation drive for families from the Afghanistan residing at Fort McCoy. This was coordinated by Sean Z., a student success counselor at the Marshfield campus, and headed by the WTCS and Team Rubicon, a veteran-led disaster response organization. Items included clothing, personal hygiene supplies, baby supplies, and school supplies. It was very well supported by employees, and everything was delivered to Fort McCoy. And I believe there is still a chance for anybody that wants to donate to go to the website of Team Rubicon, and they are still taking donations. Anything else that I miss? We're good? That concludes our committee meeting.
Thank you, Betty. We'll go ahead and move on to Human Resources and External Relations Committee with Rick Murden.
Yep, we just had one informational item, and that was the ribbon cutting celebration for the salon. On October 11th, we were finally able to accomplish a ribbon cutting for the salon at Midstate with the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber and their ambassadors. As you recall, we had postponed this event due to COVID early last September. We had about 65 people attend, and our students and faculty represented our college in a great way. Our hair salon, barber shop, nail technician, aesthetics suite, reception, and classroom space were occupied, and tours were provided. We have been advised that many attending placed appointments for services with our students as well. As you will see from the 90-second video slideshow, we transformed our gymnasium reception area into an elegant reception place complete with boxed snacks, desserts, and refreshments. So if we could cue up that slide deck. Congratulations to Dr. Missy and her leadership of Deb Stencil for completing this wonderful learning space. Again, this was an all hands-on project with participation from every ELT leader and their teams. Thank you to our board member Chuck Spargo for attending and supporting us that evening. And I can say that this is a salon cut, thanks to some mid-state bucks that we received previously. So I haven't scheduled my pedicure yet. That's all for our committee.
Thank you, Rick. Earlier this evening, the Committee of the Whole met. We went ahead and discussed the 2020-2021 year-end dashboard and the 2021 and 2022 dashboard. Dr. Shelley Mondyke presented the dashboard data and reviewed it along with the campus dashboards. Even in times of COVID, the college saw positive FTE and headcount numbers. The board is pleased to see that from current to previous years at Midstate was number 2 in the WTCS for FTEs. Retention continues to be a priority for the college, along with K-12, workforce, and continuing education. The Midstate Cougar Statute Board was also unveiled. Midstate Cougar Statute Board was also unveiled. The Midstate's Cougar sculpture unveiling to the board during the Committee of the Whole was also unveiled to us. So does it make sense? The Cougar sculpture was unveiled to all of us too. I should read this. The Cougar was unveiled to all of us as well. It's a beautiful piece that was the idea and creation of the welding faculty, Aaron Wolk, and the past staff member, Bev Justin. Really nice on the campus. So, hey. So then we have discussion and action items. Student Success Initiatives, Dr. Mandy Lang.
Thank you. Two of our college-wide goals this year include increasing retention and increasing course completion. So fall to spring, specifically fall to spring retention, and then course completion. So every team within the college has activities in their team action plan that supports these goals. And in addition, we have college-wide initiatives that have been developed to increase retention and completion as well. So I want to share 2 of those with you today. The first is early alert. And this is something that we started to formalize last year with a pilot group of faculty and advisors, and expanded on that college-wide this fall. The purpose of the Early Alert program is to identify students who are at risk of failing or dropping out earlier than if the student would seek out support themselves, if they would even seek out the support themselves. And then not only identify those students, but intervene to try to provide the support that they need to be successful in their courses. On the opposite side, we also, these alerts can also include commendations, so that we can identify those students who are doing well and try to keep them motivated as they go through their courses too. So to make this work, faculty observe attendance and participation and performance in their courses. They then submit an early alert through our system, our early alert system, or through our Civitas. And then advisors follow up with the student, and they set up support resources with those students, and then they resolve that early alert. This looks a lot simpler than what it is, but it really is a process, and it takes a lot of help from advisors, the link, counselors, financial aid, a lot of support resources throughout the college.
Mandy,
Yeah.
how successful is this?
Yeah, good question. So we are seeing the results so far, we are seeing positive results for those alerts that have been resolved. So far this semester we have had over 1,350 alerts that have been put into the system by faculty. 150 of those are positive commendations, so great job, students. And then 1,200 are concerns. Of those 1,200, the most common one that we're seeing is missing assignments. And we're also hearing that kind of qualitatively from faculty that that students aren't always turning in their work. So they're attending class, but not always turning in their work. So of those that are resolved, so it takes some time sometimes to get in touch with that student and get them connected to the right resources that they need. So those that have been resolved, we are seeing a positive increase in persistence prediction. And that's something that this is the first time we're doing it college-wide. So that's something that we're going to continue to monitor and track as we go throughout the semester.
How receptive are these students to being contacted?
It's varies. So as I'll share in the next one too. So we try a variety of methods to get in touch with the students. So sometimes it's the instructor reaching out, sometimes it's the advisor reaching out, sometimes it's a letter or a text, a variety of different ways. We try not to give up because there's always something that we can do. So we keep at it until we get them to take at least one step.
Okay.
That one thing might be just getting in touch with us, and then once they get in touch with us, we can help them with the rest.
That's a lot of effort.
It seems like 1,200 alerts, and it's only been going for, what, a couple months now?
Yeah.
Wow. Any idea what kind of response rate you get from the 1,200 that aren't just attaboy or attagirl, the 1,200 that are actual concerns? What kind of response rate do you get?
So right now, we've been able to resolve about half of them. So which means that about half of them have been students that have reached out, have contacted us back for help.
Good.
So that has helped about half of them so far. So the second initiative that I want to share with you is called Circle of Success. And this is something that we're piloting with 17 programs this year. And the concept is that each student has a success team that is there to help them be successful. This includes their faculty, their academic advisor, student success counselor, a student finance specialist to help them with financial aid, their link academic coach, and associate dean or dean. This group meets bi-weekly to go through their list of students from their program and identify which students may need assistance. So that could be financial assistance, technology assistance, academic support, counseling, really anything that student needs. So we've seen some really good success stories come from these Circle of Success meetings. I want to share just a couple of those with you tonight. One student was struggling in multiple classes, which was identified in these Circle of Success meetings. And one of the academic advisors was also the student's instructor in their student success course. And that advisor reached out to find out how she could help. And it turned out the student didn't know how to navigate Blackboard. And that is why they were behind in all of their classes. The advisor and the link then helped that student figure out how to get into Blackboard and use Blackboard, and the student is now caught up in all of their classes.
Yay.
Another student in our liberal arts program was behind in all of their classes, and the advisor reached out after this coming up in the Circle of Success meetings and help this student set up a plan to get caught up. And that student followed the plan and is now earning above 80% in all of their courses. And then one more, sometimes our attempts to reach out from advisors or instructors don't always work. We don't stop at that point, we just change tactics. So in one case, a student wasn't responding to their advisor or their instructor, so we sent a letter just outlining all of the different supports that we have available. And the student reached out in response to that letter to one of our counselors. And that student is working through some traumatic life events, and as well as working on a plan to get caught up. So some really just powerful stories coming from these, and has been really positive to hear these things. And when it comes to retention and completion, both of these initiatives show that we need to look at each student individually. And that's what these do. And that's what we continue to do.
You know, and I just need to say, when we talk about completion and retention, it just doesn't happen. You know, like if you have a rise, you want to be able to say, this maybe is something that contributed to it. So it's being intentional. And I applaud your efforts, Mandy. I think you and your team are doing amazing things with the academic team. But there is a balance, because you don't also want to be a pest, because that can also turn off students. So it's that proactive ability, but also doing it in the right way. And I think we're doing that well. It's going to be interesting to see, though, a little bit. But again, I really do think that this year with COVID, I'm not surprised all the alerts. I think this is going to be higher than normal, because I think when you say missing assignments, it's just people right now are being pulled in so many different ways. So it'll be interesting to see next fall, will you still see that same number, or when will it stabilize a little bit? But we have had to adjust student services, kind of the staff and the support to be able to do something like this, because it's a lot of management when you're managing one student at a time. But research does show that when you do this, it does make the difference, because everybody has a different need.
To go back, so the circle of success, or the circle of support, is this the second level of a higher concern, or are they using the first one to get to who to contact?
It's a combination of just the two. So and sometimes the students first come up in the early alert, but sometimes they first come up in the circle of success meetings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's been a combination really of the two, because sometimes maybe the student is participating in class and they are attending and they are handing in their work, but maybe their financial aid isn't done, or they have identified some other advisors maybe have identified some other pieces that the student needs to work on. So it's kind of a combination of the two where the student comes up.
I thought there was like a peer support program too, where students can help a fellow student. I thought there was a program that you talked about before.
I don't think we haven't done a peer support program.
I was going to add to that too, like
Yeah.
when I would think that maybe having like a buddy system with a student who maybe in their second year of schooling to be part of the circle of success.
We have talked about doing like peer advising or a peer mentor type of program. It's not something that we've moved forward with yet, but it is something that we have talked about. Yeah.
What is such a limitation with that is having second-year students have the time to do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like even tutoring sometimes, you would think you could always find some people to do tutoring, but that time is such and so we've been a little leery to say, we'll for sure do that here, because if we don't have anybody that does it, then that's a problem. I know just getting ambassadors is a problem right now, but I agree with you. I think that here, we've also talked about advisory committee involvement. You know, an ideal world, which would be great to also have that employer link. But again, who has time for that right now? But I like your thoughts, Ari, because I love the whole circle of success, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
You've heard me talk about when I first came in, how like every student should have a card here that would be their success team. And all those people's phone numbers should be on there. And that's really kind of what we're trying to get to. Because that way, no matter if my father died, or I don't know how to get my financial aid, or I need to get in touch with my faculty because I can't get into Blackboard, they should have one resource with all those numbers or email so they don't have to find them. And that's what we're really trying to get to.
I saw it, and this goes back to ACCT, I think it was a Civitas discussion or a presentation or whatever, where they were talking about, and it was an interesting vantage point of identifying within a program what is like the hardest course in that program, and that is where a lot of students would fail. You know, it's whatever, it's math or it's biology or whatever, and then focusing in on that, so that when you talk about like peer support or whatever, that's the point at which, you know, it could be very beneficial to say, okay, this is tough, but you're gonna get through it. You know, I've been through it, so it's.
We also would probably tell you through research that we can tell, depending on which faculty teaches that course.
Oh, yeah.
The success of the students, which really goes into a whole nother,
Yeah.
it's a dimension
Yeah.
that we need to look at, full-time versus part-time faculty and all of those pieces.
And these are just the programs that are involved in it this year. Any other questions at all? Thank you.
Great work.
Oh, can I ask a question? It came up at the scholarship banquet. The student that I was sitting with, talking with them, what's the status of the IT apprenticeship? Is that still?
At the
Or
time,
it's not-
Yep, at the time, we had, and Deb can give more of a, at the time, we were having difficulty with IT employers
Okay,
wanting to participate in an apprenticeship program, which is key when you have an apprenticeship.
yeah, yeah.
Because if you don't have employers, you can't hook them up. But I don't know if that got better or worse. So Deb, do you have? It still is the same. Still is the same. So,
It's a problem, but a problem, but is the program running, or?
we offer it.
Okay,
We just don't.
it's dependent upon whether there's employers, okay.
And I think right now, especially in, well, in every field, but in that particular field, with so many working from home and the workforce shortage, that definitely has a direct link with a company saying, I want to put, because it is more work.
Yeah, yeah.
And do they want to take that risk of losing their own employee to that? So they see the benefit of it, but they're also trying to weigh that out. And some employers have just said, not now. Not
Okay.
now. But I believe the curriculum is developed, Deb, is that right?
Yes, it is.
It's all developed, it's just a matter of having employers say, we will take a student.
Yeah, okay.
Good question.
Okay, closed session. The board will entertain a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to 1985 Wisconsin statutes to discuss the president's evaluation. The board may take action in closed session. Following the closed session, the board will entertain a motion to reconvene into open session and will then take further action that is necessary to appropriate. The board will then thereafter entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Betty Brusky Malik.
Thank you.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Betty. Kristen.
Turn on your mic.
You are so good.
The board has come back into open session. In closed session, we just discussed the presidential evaluation process with the new board members, and just discussed the process going forward. Can I get a motion in a second, please, to close the meeting?
So move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good night, everybody. Chuck, thanks for all your help.
For me? Okay.
Yes. I need